Olympus. Poseidon looked at the golden imprint projected in the sky, his eyes narrowing slightly. That thing, it's different from yesterday. Isn't this thing projected from the origin? How can it change? Hades gazed at the strange imprint in the sky, tracing it with his hand thoughtfully. It's similar to yesterday's mark, but there's a curve extending from the edge and it hooks upward. Is it trying to tell us something? The two major gods stared at the imprint overhead, lost in thought. Meanwhile, at the edge of Mount Olympus, a gray-skinned rat was crawling on the ground, its pair of pitch-black eyes fixed on the imprint in the sky. Moments later, its body suddenly twisted and a pair of blood-colored bat wings burst from its back. The gray-skinned rat rose from the ground and flew toward the depths of the mist. Crossing the vast sea surface, after an unknown amount of time, the outline of a misty strait gradually took shape. It flew between the strait and plunged toward the sea surface. The world flipped, and a strait that existed only in reflections appeared on both sides. Sword-like cliffs towered on both sides of the strait, and thick fog like a wall wrapped one of the cliffs so tightly that nothing could penetrate. The gray-skinned rat flapped its wings across the turbulent sea and crashed into the gray fog wall. The previously hazy vision suddenly opened up. Inside this wall of mist, there was actually no fog at all, quite similar to Great Xia. Strange-looking instruments were arranged on the cliff. Some resembled large computers, some like radars, others like helmets covered with spikes. Countless wires tangled together, resembling a breathing technological brain. On the other side of these instruments were biological samples soaked in yellowish-brown liquid, covering nearly half the mountain peak. There were hundreds of species, from tiny insects to the massive remains of divine bodies, creating an eerie and terrifying scene. At this moment, among these biological samples, a figure in a black robe stood before a dissection table, seemingly studying something intently. Suddenly, he frowned and turned to look into the distance. A winged gray-skinned rat flew directly to his shoulder, its eyeballs trembling as if transmitting some information. Olympus. The gray in Nchinu's eyes gradually receded as he pondered. After small-scale god hunting, he's finally making a move on Olympus. But this method, it seems his target isn't just Olympus. Nchinu stood still for a moment, his eyes narrowing as he murmured. It seems this 4-year peace won't last much longer. Since he has made this move, we naturally must follow. Don't you agree, Zeus? His gaze fell on the operating table before him, where a withered small corpse had been almost completely cut into pieces. From the bloody face, one could vaguely make out the features of the Olympian king. Great Xia. What did you say? Xia Ximing's hand trembled, spilling all the hot soup she was about to drink onto the floor. She looked at Vice Captain Chao Sha in astonishment. He approved it? Yes, it's signed and stamped, really approved. Chao Sha scratched his head. Captain, what excuse did you use this time? How did you get Commander Lin to approve it? All the Phoenix team members' curious gazes were fixed on Xia Ximing. She shrank her neck, feeling somewhat embarrassed to speak. I said, I was pregnant. Everyone, Sigma. Captain, you dared to use such an outrageous excuse? I just wrote it casually. How was I supposed to know he would actually believe it? Xia Ximing anxiously paced around the room. This is bad. Does he really think I'm pregnant? Should I host a banquet to maintain this lie? After struggling for a moment, Xia Ximing gritted her teeth. Never mind, we've got the leave approved, we'll deal with it later. Worst case, I'll go to his office and apologize on my knees. The members of Phoenix team looked at each other. Captain, how should we spend this vacation? Xia Ximing waved her hand. Do I need to tell you? Take all the money from our team's fund. After this, it'll probably be hard to get another vacation approved, so let's all have our fill of fun at once. Yes. They've left. In the Commander-in-Chief's office, Lin Chia leisurely sipped his tea. Yes, they packed their luggage and left overnight, Secretary Min Junliang replied. Where to? I believe the Gold Coast area? Let them be. Lin Chia's gaze swept over the high stack of documents in front of him. Any urgent matters recently? Not really, just some issues discussed in high-level meetings. Basically, you just need to sign and stamp them, but... But what? But Mr. Yoshi called. Yoshi Longbai? Lin Chia was surprised. What's wrong? Did something happen? He asked if you had time recently. It seems he wanted to play games with you. But we were busy with the ceremony at that time, so I couldn't agree. He hasn't mentioned it again since. Min Junliang said helplessly. Longbai. Lin Chia rubbed his chin, his expression somewhat complex. All right, I understand. He stood up from his chair and walked straight outside. I'm going out for a while. If there's anything urgent, find Xin Qingzhu first. Understood. Huaihai City suburbs. In the basement of a villa, a white-haired youth sat cross-legged in front of a projection screen, rapidly pressing buttons on a game controller. On the screen, a figure carrying a long sword was effortlessly battling a terrifying giant beast. When the beast finally collapsed, the figure's health bar remained full. With an elegant sword-sheathing motion, the words "Level complete" slowly appeared on the screen. The youth sighed, lying back on the carpet, his white hair spreading like a waterfall on the floor. He stared at the ceiling for a long time. Just as he was about to stand up, his face suddenly turned pale. He staggered to the sink in the bathroom and bent over, vomiting violently. As crimson blood soaked the sink, his already pale face grew increasingly haggard. He looked at himself in the mirror, and a sense of helplessness appeared in his cross-star-like eyes. Ding dong. The doorbell rang from the living room. Yoshi Longbai was startled. He turned on the faucet to wash away the blood, climbed the stairs back to the first floor and opened the door. Seeing the figure at the door, a look of delight appeared on Yoshi Longbai's face. Brother Chia? Longbai, why do you look unwell? Lin Chia examined the tall youth before him and asked with confusion. It's nothing, maybe I'm just tired from staying up late playing games. Yoshi Longbai smiled gently. Come in, I'll show you my collection. Lin Chia stepped into the villa and began to look around, following Yoshi Longbai's guidance. This villa was specially prepared for Yoshi Longbai by Zhuqing years ago. Considering that this child's appearance was too striking, the kind of existence that would have people rushing to film videos if he walked down the street, if he lived in a densely populated area, it wouldn't take long before talent scouts would come knocking on his door, causing quite a stir. For this reason, Zhuqing specifically prepared a villa for him in the suburbs, with an excellent environment, far from the dust of the city, where generally no one else would come. Yoshi Longbai naturally liked it very much. When he was in the human circle, he had been imprisoned like a lab rat since childhood and had grown accustomed to solitude. For him, this environment made him very comfortable, especially since it had all kinds of games available on the market. 4 years ago, after Lin Chia became the commander-in-chief of the Night Watchers, he visited Yoshi Longbai once. Later, as his affairs gradually became busy, he hadn't come back since. Counting the time, it had been more than 2 years since he had seen this child. This wall has all my console game collections, those are the ones I've only completed once, and these are the ones I've completed twice or more. These computers are loaded with competitive online games, but I find it boring to play with people online, so I've only played half of them. That area is the arcade hall. The arcade games you had people send me before, I've completed them all once and some of them are quite good. This is my figure collection area, all bought with my pocket money. Impressive, isn't it? Yoshi Longbai, who was a head taller than Lin Chia, was now excited like a child, pulling him around the villa for a complete tour. Lin Chia's gaze swept across the room full of game cartridges and he asked with a smile, "Living here alone, don't you get bored?" "When I'm not playing games, it is quite boring. But I can talk to my sister and sometimes Uncle Guan comes to play with me and brings me to test his new programs and games. The games he makes are much more interesting than these. A couple of days ago, I wanted to ask if you had time to come over, Brother Chia, but Secretary Min said you were very busy lately. I thought you wouldn't come." Yoshi Longbai blinked his eyes and tentatively asked, "Brother Chia, you're not in a hurry to leave, are you?" "Not at all." Lin Chia smiled and sat down on the sofa in the basement. "Today I'll stay here with you, not going anywhere." Yoshi Longbai's face was full of joy. He immediately, barefoot, took out a second game controller from under the TV cabinet and handed it to Lin Chia. Then can we play all night? Of course. Lin Chia paused for a moment. But haven't you already been up for several nights? Can your body handle it? I'm fine, I'm used to it. Lin Chia took the controller and lay down on the sofa. After much deliberation over a handful of cartridges, Yoli Longbai still chose the simplest one to insert into the console. The projection screen changed, and the entire basement was enveloped in the light and shadows of the game. Each holding a controller, the two quickly entered a competitive state. To be honest, Lin Chia hadn't relaxed and played games for a very long time, especially after becoming the commander-in-chief. Even taking a vacation had become a luxury. Anyone else could take a vacation but not him. No one had ever heard of a commander-in-chief who could abandon the entire night watchers to sunbathe on a beach. They would certainly confront the Olympian gods, but not now. As a certain movie quote goes, he still needed to let the bullets fly a while longer. Lin Chia's visit to Yoli Longbai this time was firstly to see him, and secondly to briefly empty his mind. The heavy workload of these 4 years had left him somewhat breathless. But as the death sign kept appearing on the screen, Lin Chia's expression immediately became somewhat unpleasant. Yoli Longbai's mouth twitched slightly. Brother Chia, I think this game might be too difficult. Let me change to another one. No need. Lin Chia changed from lying down to sitting up and said seriously, I was too careless just now, I'll sit up to play. 2 minutes later the screen went black again. Lin Chia. Brother Chia. I think my controller isn't working properly. Do you have another one I can switch to? The two spent the entire afternoon playing games in the basement far from the world, with no chess games or fog, just the simplest joy between men displayed vividly in competition. Before they knew it, it was already late at night. Brother Chia, are you hungry? Should I make something for you to eat? Yoli Longbai stood up and stretched his muscles. I'm not hungry, but you should definitely eat something. Lin Chia put down the controller. Lin Chia's body was a primordial spirit embryo. He could go thousands of years without food or water with no problem. But Yoli Longbai's body was not in good condition, and he couldn't go without food. Yoli Longbai made a sound of agreement and turned to walk toward the kitchen, but his figure suddenly staggered and he collapsed to the ground. Longbai. Lin Chia's pupils contracted, and his figure instantly flashed from the sofa to the stairway. He lifted the fallen Yoli Longbai, who was pale-faced and had already fallen unconscious. Beijing City. Night Watchers Headquarters, Medical Department. Lin Chia sat on the cold bench with pale light filling the corridor. He frowned at the tightly closed emergency room door, his expression somewhat anxious. After Yoli Longbai fainted, Lin Chia immediately examined his body and found that his life force was continuously draining away. He promptly brought Yoli Longbai from Huaihai to Beijing and immediately sent him to the headquarters medical department. Here, besides the top medical facilities in Great Xia, there were also many logistics personnel with healing forbidden domains, making it the pinnacle of Night Watcher's medical capabilities. The emergency room door opened and Yu Jilin, one of the 7 high-level officials and the head of the logistics department, walked out wearing a white coat. How is he? Lin Chia stood up and asked. Yu Jilin opened his mouth, showing a difficult expression, and said, Commander Lin, we've revived him and his consciousness has returned to normal, but the problem with his body is not small. Not small. Mr. Yoli is not an ordinary human, but a man-made god, experimental subject cultivated from pure land. 5 years ago, although he was injected with a stabilizing agent, the side effects of overexerting his body still cannot be underestimated. Lin Chia's frown deepened. Get to the point. He is dying of old age. Lin Chia stood frozen in place. Die of old age. After who knows how long, he suddenly came to his senses, grabbed Yu Jilin's shoulders and pointing at the hospital room said, Die of old age. He's not even 18 yet. You're telling me he's going to die of old age? Commander Lin, please calm down. Yu Jilin replied helplessly. Mr. Yoli's body has been repeatedly exploited many times. Even though you've used drugs to stabilize his condition, the damage can't be avoided. In a sense, 1 year of his physiological age is equivalent to 6 or 7 years for an ordinary person. The organs in his body have deteriorated to the level of a centenarian. If it weren't for his top-tier mental strength supporting him, he probably wouldn't have survived until now. Lin Chia opened his mouth but couldn't utter a single word. He had heard similar words from Qingyu back when they were in the human circle. But after so many years, Yoli Luobai showed no visible abnormalities, causing him to forget about this matter. Is there any way to save him now? Lin Chia asked with furrowed brows. Yu Jilin shook his head. The deterioration of his bodily functions is an irreversible process. Just as we can't prevent a person from dying naturally of old age, there's no method for his condition. Perhaps we should prepare for Mr. Yoli's funeral arrangements. As Yu Jilin left, only Lin Chia remained standing in the pale corridor, unable to come to his senses for a long time. The ticking of the clock echoed through the corridor. He took a deep breath and finally stepped into the hospital room. Brother Chia. On the snow-white hospital bed, a white-haired youth as beautiful as a painting smiled weakly. His body was covered with monitoring wires, one hand connected to an IV drip. For a moment, it felt like they had returned to their time in Pure Land. Lin Chia looked at him with complex emotions. You've known all along, haven't you? Yes. But I understand my physical condition very well. Even if I had said something, it wouldn't have changed anything. Yoli Luobai turned his head to look at the stars outside the window and said softly, if it weren't for you all desperately saving me back then, I would have died in the human circle long ago. You all took me out of the laboratory and showed me what the world truly looks like. Having had these few wonderful years of life, I'm already very content. If there's anything else I want to do before I go, perhaps it's to play one more game with you all. Actually, when I first arrived in Great Xia, I always wanted to do this, but later you all became too busy. In the end, only you and Brother Qingzhu remained here. Yoli Luobai's voice grew increasingly faint. After a moment, he shook his head and smiled. Anyway, this wish has been fulfilled today, so I have no regrets. Lin Chia stood by the bedside, looking at that pale youthful face, not knowing what to say. After returning to Great Xia from the human circle back then, they had entrusted Yoli Luobai to Zhuqing, since the special squad's missions were too demanding for them to take care of the child. Later, too many things happened and they rarely had the chance to visit him. It's all my fault. Lin Chia glanced at Divine Calamity by the window, guilt appearing in his eyes. I promised your sister I would take good care of you. What are you saying, Brother Chia? Yoli Luobai smiled. You have your own responsibilities. Besides, I've lived well these past few years. Never wanting for food or drink, having endless games to play and meeting seniors like Uncle Guan who took care of me. All of this came from you. Yoli Luobai seemed to remember something. With his foreconnected hand, he took the black and gold long sword from the window and handed it to Lin Chia. Brother Chia, only 2 people in the world can use this sword. Me and you. Actually, from the beginning, it should have been with you. You just didn't want to leave me alone in Great Xia, so you let my sister accompany me. After I'm gone, remember to take it with you. Don't let my sister be all alone. Don't rush, Luobai. There might be other solutions. Lin Chia didn't take Divine Calamity. He gently put Yoli Luobai's hand down. You rest well here first and I'll figure something out. After saying goodbye to Yoli Luobai, Lin Chia quickly walked out of the hospital room and ran into Shin Qingzhu, who was hurrying over. How is he? Shin Qingzhu asked. Lin Chia briefly explained the situation, and Shin Qingzhu's brows immediately furrowed. Organ failure. Why not try giving him a new body? Didn't the heavenly court mention they were cultivating those black flowers that could carry souls? Lin Chia shook his head. The heavenly court is indeed cultivating them, but now all the gods of Great Xia have fallen into slumber and exiled themselves to the depths of the universe. There's nothing like that on Earth. What about a miracle? It might work, but since Luobai's condition is natural aging, the chances of success are slim. We can only try. Lin Chia pondered for a moment and sighed helplessly. Perhaps in the end we'll have to ask Hu Jia to make a visit. Though whether the child is willing to live on spiritually is another question. As the two were discussing, A figure hurriedly approached from the end of the corridor. Where's Luo Bai? Guanzai wore a plaid shirt, looking anxious under his baseball cap. He's resting inside. Lin Chia repeated the situation. After listening, Guanzai fell into deep thought. I might have a way to let him survive without residing in someone else's mind. Hearing this, Lin Chia's eyes lit up. What method? Guanzai took a deep breath and slowly uttered 2 words. Become a god. Lin Chia and Xin Qingzhu both froze. Become a god? Yes, if he can become a god, he might be able to overcome his physiological defects and continue living in this world. But he has no laws now, how can he become a god? More importantly, even if he had laws, his physical body couldn't contain them. He would dissipate and his soul would scatter, Lin Chia said seriously. Don't forget, his ability is game. Guanzai spoke slowly. He can bring virtual game items into reality, so why couldn't he transform into data and enter the game world? If he becomes a god in data form, he naturally wouldn't need a physical body to contain him. Then he could completely break free from material limitations and truly live eternally in the game world, becoming the world's one and only god of games. Guanzai's idea completely exceeded Lin Chia and his companions' understanding. Data deification. Is this actually possible? Lin Chia asked with furrowed brows. Of course it's possible. Guanzai nodded with utmost seriousness. Ever since Zhou Ping successfully ascended to become the Xia dynasty sword immortal a few years ago, I've been contemplating my own path to godhood. Data deification is the most feasible plan I've come up with in recent years. The only problem is that there are no data laws in this world. And my talent hasn't reached the level where I can create laws myself, so this method remains only theoretical. But Long Bai is different. This kid's talent in gaming is absolutely the strongest in the world. I've always felt that he might have already touched the edge of gaming laws. You mean Long Bai could potentially create a complete set of gaming laws, then bring himself into the game to achieve godhood? Whether it's Zhou Ping, Hu Xubing, or Gong Yongwan, the 3 who have created their own laws to achieve godhood in today's world all took realistic paths. Compared to them, creating laws through gaming sounds like a dream. His talent is sufficient. What he needs now is perhaps just an opportunity. Opportunity. A place where he can comprehend the laws of gaming. A place to comprehend gaming laws. Where would that be? Gaming laws, of course, can only be found in games, Guanzai said matter-of-factly. But he's already completed all the games in the Xia dynasty and still hasn't comprehended the gaming laws. That's far from enough. Those games are made for ordinary players. Do you think Long Bai is an ordinary player? Only a game that truly challenges him would be most likely to stimulate his talent and help him comprehend gaming laws. So, you already have a solution, don't you? Lin Chia's eyes lit up as if he realized something. You're the world's best programmer. You must be able to create a game challenging enough for Long Bai. You are the opportunity for Long Bai's ascension. Guanzai's gaze fell on Yula Long Bai's hospital room, his expression somewhat complicated. To be precise, I've already created a prototype of a game, but the mechanics aren't fully refined. I was planning to wait until it was complete before letting him test it, but now there's no time to make adjustments slowly. So he can play it now? Lin Chia scanned Guanzai's empty hands and immediately asked, Did you bring the gaming equipment? If not, I can have someone buy it right away. Guanzai shook his head. It's not a simple game that uses controllers. To bring out Long Bai's potential, he must be fully immersed in the game. I'll use my abilities to build a real game for him. A real game. Yes, creating a digitized world within our world. His physical attributes will be digitized and imported into it, and his abilities will become something like skills. Guanzai contemplated as he spoke. But there's a serious problem now. What is it? This game was designed for Long Bai at his peak. Now that his body has pathologically aged, he might not be able to complete this game. Worse, it might accelerate his death due to fatigue. Lin Chia's expression immediately became grave. Is there any solution? There is one, Guanzai hesitantly replied. I can adjust this game from single-player mode to a 3-person team mode. If someone helps share some of the burden, things might go more smoothly. Three-person team? Shin Qingzhu raised an eyebrow, exchanging glances with Lin Qie beside him. Yes, but I need to control the program from outside, so two other players need to enter with him. Preferably those with strength similar to Long Bai's, so at least the data aspects won't be too much of a drag. Hearing this, Lin Qie understood Guanzai's meaning. You want me and Zhuai Gu to go in with him? You're now the commander-in-chief of the Xia dynasty. If you're too busy, we can find other top-tier replacements. Lin Qie didn't respond immediately. He looked back at Yulalongbai's hospital room, determination appearing in his eyes. No need to change. Zhuai Gu and I will accompany him. This is what we owe him. That's perfect. Seeing Lin Qie agree, Guanzai immediately began typing in the void, with lines of ethereal code appearing in the air. Loading the game will take some time. Go tell Longbai first so he can prepare. As he finished speaking, a digital-style progress bar appeared above Guanzai's head, slowly moving toward 100%. Lin Qie returned to the hospital room and briefly described the situation to Yulalongbai, whose dull eyes immediately lit up with unprecedented excitement. Really? You and Qingzhu Gu will join me in the game? Yes. Lin Qie nodded, though neither of us is particularly good at this and our goal isn't to complete the game but to help you comprehend the gaming laws. So ultimately it depends on you. No problem. Yulalongbai yanked out his four, removed all monitoring devices, and became radiant with energy, showing no trace of his previous sickly appearance. By the way, I forgot to ask Guanzai how long this game will take. A game shouldn't take too long. Shin Qingzhu thought for a moment. Half an hour? It's not like playing a mobile game. Anyway, let me make arrangements first. Lin Qie glanced at Guanzai still loading in the hallway, not wanting to disturb him, and instead took out his phone to call Min Junliang, asking Destiny Monk to temporarily handle urgent matters. After finishing all this, the progress bar above Guanzai's head in the hallway finally completed loading. Click. The lights in the hospital room seemed to short-circuit, plunging everything into darkness. Then the hallway lights went out one by one and the world fell into complete blackness. Dense code floated around the three of them. As Lin Qie and Shin Qingzhu relaxed their minds, their forms also became part of the code. When they opened their eyes again, they found themselves amid a noisy crowd. Stars twinkled in the night sky, and hundreds of bright lights from the edges of the stadium shone on the empty stage in the center. Around them, thousands of figures holding glow sticks and light boards excitedly crowded together, their eyes full of frenzy. What the hell? I thought we were entering a game. Why are we at a concert? Lin Qie looked around in bewilderment. As if to answer his question, lines of pale green text floated out in front of the three. Player digitization complete. Game loading progress. Scene importing. Scene import complete. Game duration. Welcome to GEZ's self-developed nightmare-level game. Game name, Kiss of the Idol Girl. Olympus. Poseidon looked at the golden imprint changing again above his head, his expression somewhat unpleasant. After 2 days of observation, it could be basically confirmed that this mysterious pattern hanging over Olympus would change once a day, and this frequency of change gave Poseidon a vague sense of foreboding. Just then, a streak of light flew from the distance and landed on this main peak. It was a blood-covered deity whose aura had become extremely weak. He propped himself up with a strangely shaped staff in one hand, barely maintaining his posture before the golden throne. Dionysus. Seeing the face before him, Poseidon narrowed his eyes. You came back alone? We were ambushed by the silent angel at the southern border of Great Xia. Then that guy was too strong. Even Artemis and I together were no match for him. If I didn't have so many escape techniques, I would probably be buried at the bottom of the sea now. Dionysus spoke with a gloomy expression. Poseidon nodded slightly without speaking. Ares not returning was within his and Hades' expectations, but of the two major gods who went to the southern border, only one escaped back. Losing two major gods in succession was very unfavorable for Olympus in its current state. Dionysus looked up at the sky above Olympus, and after hesitating for a moment he still asked, "By the way, what is that thing?" It appeared 2 days ago, projected from our source, changing once a day, but what it specifically portends is still unclear. 2 days ago? Changes once a day. Dionysus was stunned, his expression immediately becoming strange. What? You recognize it? What did it look like yesterday and the day before? Poseidon pointed to the ground in front of the golden throne, where 2 imprints were clearly visible. These imprints come from the source, perhaps with some hidden meaning, so I recorded all of them to study slowly. When Dionysus saw the 2 imprints, his mouth twitched slightly. Does none of you understand Chinese? Chinese. Yes, the one up there is the Chinese character for 8. Yesterday's was 9, and the day before was 10. This isn't some omen from the source, it's a countdown. Hearing Dionysus's answer, Poseidon was completely stunned. Chinese. But why would something from our source be in Chinese? Poseidon felt that all of this seemed somewhat unreal. Those who can use Chinese are naturally people from Great Xia. Think carefully about when this imprint appeared 2 days ago. Poseidon recalled carefully, and his face immediately turned ashen. He hadn't noticed before, but thinking about it now, the time of the source's anomaly almost coincided with Great Xia's god-hunting festival, and the imprints projected from the source happened to be in Chinese. So, was all this Great Xia's doing? They used our source to mark our divine realm with a countdown? A powerful aura erupted from Poseidon, causing the sea surface around the Olympus Mountains to boil instantly. He gripped his trident tightly, feeling as if he would explode with anger. These Great Xia people, what exactly do they want to do? Dionysus coughed twice, a pool of crimson blood appearing in his palm. He spoke coldly. Great Xia's god hunting this time is obviously serious. Although I don't know what methods they use to mark Olympus with a countdown, their intention should be very clear. They want to destroy Olympus within 10 days. 10 days? Do they think they're the moral heavenly lord of the past? Poseidon glared in the direction of Great Xia. A bunch of human ants actually becoming so arrogant, truly seeking death. Dionysus recalled the scene of being hunted by the silent angel and still hesitantly spoke. But Great Xia's combat power is indeed not to be underestimated now. If we want to retaliate against Great Xia, it will be difficult to gain the upper hand. Poseidon's aura faltered slightly. He stood silently for a long time, his eyes climbing with cold intent. I don't believe it. Great Xia's territory is so vast. Can they really protect everyone? You mean? I'm going out for a while. If anything happens, find that guy Hades first. As Poseidon's words fell, his form turned into a pool of seawater and disappeared. The next moment, an earth-shattering tsunami surged frantically into the deep mist. Great Xia. Beautiful girl idol's kiss? Seeing this line before him, Lin Chia's mouth couldn't help but twitch. What kind of game is this? No matter how you look at it, it sounds like an R-rated game, right? Using this type of game to let Yuli Tangbai play, can he really comprehend the game rules? But thinking carefully, it seems reasonable that an old otaku locked up here would have such hobbies. Lin Chia was frantically complaining in his heart, but it wasn't appropriate to say it directly now. Judging by Xin Qingzhu's colorful expression beside him, his guess was probably the same as his own. As for Yuli Tangbai, he still seemed very excited without any surprised expression. Just then, several small lines of text appeared again. Mission background. Global super popular beautiful girl idol AI Mimi is about to hold a concert at Asia's largest sports venue. Tens of thousands of fanatical fans are about to go crazy for her. As one of the world's few conscientious journalists, you decide to expose AI Mimi's lip-syncing performance here, throwing this fake girl packaged by the company into the abyss of public opinion. For this, you are willing to use any means, even violence. Mission objective: defeat AI Mimi. Number of participants, 3. Mission requirements. 1. Individual players can respawn after a time delay upon death. Once all players are in a state of death simultaneously, the game is deemed failed. 2. During the mission, no harm can be caused to ordinary spectators present. Otherwise, the one causing harm will die immediately. 3. Unless the mission is completed or failed, The game will continue and all participants cannot leave. Note: due to the presence of players with values exceeding the overload limit among the participants, the system has automatically adjusted their values. After quickly scanning the game introduction before him, Lin Chia breathed a slight sigh of relief. Fortunately, it wasn't the erotic game he thought it was. But these rules, this background, no matter how you look at it, doesn't seem like a proper combat game. Just as Lin Chia was puzzled, the super large screen in the stage suddenly lit up, and a huge digital countdown began to jump on it. All the fans present immediately became fanatically excited, with unstoppable cheers seeming to shatter their eardrums. 3, 2, 1. As tens of thousands of people shouted in unison, the countdown on the screen reached 0. The next moment, dazzling strong lights suddenly lit up from all parts of the stadium. Boom, 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 boom. Amid the wave-like cheers, missiles shot into the sky from around the stadium, exploding in the night sky. The surging flames instantly filled the horizon. The fans present showed no panic at all. Instead, their shouts became even louder. Missile? Lin Chia's mouth twitched violently when he saw the flames surging in the sky. Other concerts have fireworks, but yours has missiles? Does this setting have to be so ridiculous? Amy. 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 Tens of thousands of fans gathered in the stadium, calling out the name of today's star in unison. As flames surged across the sky, a graceful figure slowly rose from the center of the stage. Rhythmic music echoed throughout the venue, and the supersized screen began flashing images of the beautiful young girl. Amid the wave-like cheers, she held a microphone in one hand and began swaying to the beat. Her light green plaid skirt danced in the wind, revealing 2 snow-white tender thighs. She wore a pristine white button-up shirt, with golden twin tails hanging down to her waist, looking like a youthful beauty straight out of a manga. "Hello everyone, I'm Amy." As the beautiful girl's crisp voice rang out, the tens of thousands of spectators in the audience immediately began waving their glow sticks like mad, squeezing Lin Chia and his 2 companions like weeds in the wind, drifting unsteadily. "What nonsense is this?" Shin Qingzhu frowned deeply. "Uncle Guan just likes to set up these weird backgrounds, you'll get used to it. But don't be deceived by appearances. We must see through these chaotic, meaningless events to understand their essence," Yuli Tangbai said seriously, his gaze fixed on the beautiful girl on stage. Lin Chia also stared at the youthful beauty. The moment his gaze locked onto her, a panel appeared before his eyes. Target: Amy. Health. Skill 1. Cute girl's wink. Through an adorable yet flirtatious wink, causes all hostile targets within visual range who make eye contact to suffer cardiac arrest, instantly removing 100% of their health and entering death state. Skill 2. Heart pose group photo. When the countdown for a group photo appears on the big screen, all targets must gather below the stage to complete a fixed heart pose photo with Amy. Targets not appearing in the photo when the countdown ends will be forcibly imprisoned in the dungeon. Skill 3. Security team summon. Summons personal security team to hunt down targets regardless of terrain. After security guards die, they can be resurrected the next time this skill is activated. Skill 4. Your cheers are my strength. Unknown. Skill 5. Energetic idol. Unknown. Skill 6. True fan support. Unknown. Skill 7. What's with the 4 unknown skills? Why can't we see them? It means those 4 skills are beyond our detection capabilities. We can only get information when she actively uses them, Yuli Tangbai said thoughtfully. Judging from the health and first 3 skills, this is a mechanics-based boss. Mechanics-based. Generally, boss battles can be divided into 3 types: stat check, skill check, and mechanics-based. Stat check is the simplest. For example, if you have 100 attack and 100 health, while the boss has 10,000 health and 30,000 attack, it can kill 100 of you with 1 slap. To defeat such a boss, you must enhance your own stats through various means, or use extremely skilled techniques to compensate for the stat difference. Skill check battles occur when the stat difference isn't too extreme. The boss uses complex combo moves or abilities that force players to fight with skill. This isn't difficult for me either. Mechanics-based can be either simple or extremely difficult. This type of boss can ignore any stats or skills, killing through rules. To win against such a boss, you must probe repeatedly to find weaknesses in their mechanics, then exploit them. But from the current skills, killing her doesn't seem difficult. Shin Qingzhu narrowed his eyes. The wink skill looks powerful, but we can avoid it by closing our eyes before she activates it. For the group photo, we just need to gather at the right time, and even if we don't, we won't die. As for those security guards, we just need to take them all down. Amy only has 200 health, while I have 124,000 health and 76,000 attack. If I touch her once, she'll definitely die. Your health is that high? Yuli Tengbai exclaimed in shock. I only have 2001. That's quite a difference. It's actually normal. Our current stats are converted from our original physical data. Brother Qingzhu, you were originally a supreme god, so 120,000 health isn't exaggerated. I was just a terminally ill human at the peak of humanity, so I only have 2001 health. No, now it's only 2099. Yuli Tongbai's health bar decreased imperceptibly, the continuous damage coming from his nearly dead body. When his health reaches 0, it would mean the end of his life. Brother Chia, how much health do you have? Lin Chia looked at his own status, paused briefly, then fell silent. Brother Chia? Wait, let me count the zeros. Lin Chia counted several times, then said with a strange expression, it seems to be 1,100,000. Yuli Tongbai's mouth opened uncontrollably, and even Shin Qingzhu beside him was full of astonishment. He knew Lin Chia's physical body was tough, but he didn't expect his digitized health to be so thick. Nearly 9 times that of himself, a supreme god. But my attack isn't as high as yours. I only have 34,000, Lin Chia said helplessly. His original body was only at the peak of humanity, so his destructive power was much less than supreme god Shin Qingzhu. If his burning angel avatar had come down instead, it would be different. Next, the concert is about to begin. Amy stood on stage and gently winked her right eye at the audience below. Seeing this, Lin Chia and his companions quickly closed their eyes. Almost simultaneously, 3 notifications floated above their heads. Skill 1 Judgment, Judgment ineffective. Amy withdrew her gaze, her smile becoming even more radiant. As the song began, she brought the microphone to her lips, and her energetic singing voice filled the stadium. Glow sticks swayed rhythmically in the darkness throughout the venue as Lin Chia and his companions finally opened their eyes. She already activated a skill? Shin Qingzhu asked in surprise. This should be the boss's opening skill, used to identify if there are any hostile people in the crowd. Those fanatical fans don't matter, but if we make eye contact with her, we'd die instantly. What should we do next? Yuli Tengbai pondered for a moment. The more unknown boss skills there are, the greater the threat to our subsequent actions. This boss battle has just begun, and the most important thing is to probe what her remaining skills are, then figure out how to avoid them. Understood. Shin Qingzhu stared at the beautiful girl on stage, a cold gleam flashing in his eyes. I'll go probe. You two protect yourselves, because as long as the 3 of us don't die simultaneously, this game won't fail. Only 3 people dying would be considered a game failure, which means there's more room for maneuver. Good news for them. That's fine, Lin Chia nodded slightly. Be careful. 6 gray wings extended from Shin Qingzhu's back, startling the surrounding audience. With a gust of wind, Shin Qingzhu's figure swept across the entire venue from mid-air, finally landing steadily on the spacious stage. After his body was digitized, most of the original Jitian Angel's abilities had dimmed, leaving only a few basic ones, with flight being one of them. The moment Shin Qingzhu landed on the stage, the LED screen on the stage floor with flowing lights suddenly lit up with a uniform red glow, bathing the entire venue in a crimson hue across nearly 1,000 square meters. During the performance, no fan interaction is allowed. AI Mimi, singing and dancing at the center of the stage, apologetically wagged her index finger at Shin Qingzhu, then playfully winked with her right eye. Shin Qingzhu was prepared for this and immediately closed his eyes. Skill 1 Judgment, judgment ineffective. Sorry about this, Shin Qingzhu calmly spoke. His fingertips lifted slightly, and the air in front of him suddenly distorted. A dazzling flame ignited from nowhere, instantly transforming into a large fireball several meters in radius. With a fireball of this size, eliminating an enemy with only 200 health points would be no problem. This was actually Shin Qingzhu deliberately weakening it many times over to avoid affecting nearby audience members. After all, 70,000 plus attack power was no joke. The moment the flames surged through the venue, the audience below let out a series of gasps. AI Mimi stood in the spotlight, but due to the existence of the death wink skill, Shin Qingzhu didn't look at her and couldn't see her expression. He simply released the fireball toward her approximate location. But at that instant, several figures frantically climbed onto the crimson stage, shouting as they lunged toward Shin Qingzhu. "Don't hurt Mimi. Defend Mimi's safety with our lives. Don't be afraid, Mimi. Your sisters will protect you." The fireball flew across half the stage when an audience member deliberately crashed into it, instantly burning to ashes with a scream. Shin Qingzhu's pupils suddenly contracted. Almost simultaneously, his body violently exploded. Bang! Blood splattered across the crimson stage like a blooming flower of flesh and blood, and Shin Qingzhu's form completely vanished. Player Shin Qingzhu, dead. At the place of his death, a dark red countdown panel appeared. Seeing this, Lin Qiye and Yulalongbai's expressions immediately became grave. Mission Requirement 2. During the mission, no harm may be caused to ordinary audience members present. Otherwise, the one causing harm will immediately die. Lin Qiye muttered in a deep voice. Have those audience members gone mad? Rushing to sacrifice themselves to protect AI Mimi? Their setting is that they're all AI Mimi's fanatical fans. They can't stand by and watch her in danger. Yulalongbai pondered for a moment. However, Brother Qingzhu's sacrifice has yielded some results. At least it warned us about the audience's role and revealed the revival time after death. Just as Lin Qiye was about to say something, AI Mimi's crisp voice echoed through the venue again. It seems some bad people have snuck in. Security uncles, please do your best. Everyone, don't worry, the next song, Lovier, is for all of you. I hope everyone stays happy forever. As the cute music started playing, the venue heated up again. The audience completely forgot the bloody scene from moments ago, falling into a state of total frenzy. AI Mimi activates Skill 3. Security Team Summon. The moment this small text appeared, several shadowy figures from the crowd darted toward Lin Qiye and Yulalongbai. They moved like ghosts through the bodies of all the audience members, moving freely through this venue packed with tens of thousands of people. This is bad. We absolutely cannot fight the security team here, Yulalongbai immediately said. There are too many audience members. Once we start fighting, we'll inevitably cause collateral damage. If both of us get eliminated for breaking the rules, it's an immediate game over. Lin Qiye's gaze swept across the surroundings, quickly locking onto the outermost stands of the concert venue. Although those stands were also full of people, beneath them was an enclosed structure, likely staff passages surrounding the venue, or indoor spaces leading to swimming pools or badminton courts. AI Mimi's fanatical fans should all be concentrated in this venue where they can see her. There should be few people in the indoor spaces of the sports center. Let's go there to face these security guards. Lin Qiye decisively said. Yulalongbai nodded, and the two quickly pushed through the crowd toward the indoor venue. Unlike Shin Qingzhu, who entered the game with a flying ability, they could only move this way. Moreover, Lin Qiye didn't dare use much force when pushing through the crowd, fearing his strength might harm these audience members and get him instantly eliminated. But compared to the security team that could move ignoring terrain, they were much slower in the crowd. Before they reached the door to the indoor venue, 3 shadowy figures appeared behind them. One bald security guard shouted angrily, his fists bursting with dark golden light, like 2 millstones smashing toward their backs. Lin Qiye's eyes narrowed slightly as he flashed behind Yulalongbai, shielding him. The 2 dark golden millstones hit his back simultaneously, sending him flying out of the crowd like a kite with cut strings, crashing through the safety door of the indoor venue and landing in the corridor. 19723 20113. Two damage numbers floated above Lin Chia as he slowly stood up from the shattered bricks, immediately checking on Yulalongbai below him, who hadn't suffered any damage. He sighed slightly in relief. These security guards' attack power was so high? One punch could deal 20,000 damage? It's worth noting that Yulalongbai's health was just over 2,000. If that punch had landed on him, he would have been killed instantly without question. Of course, this was nothing to Lin Chia. Even after taking 2 punches simultaneously, his health bar had only decreased slightly. His total health was over 1.1 million, so he'd lost less than 4%. Thank you, Brother Chia. Yulalongbai stood up, looking at the 3 security guards before them. Health, skills, charge, bull strength, invincible golden body, macho roar. As soon as he saw the bald security guard who had attacked them, a panel popped up. Yulalongbai had an as-expected expression. These security guards all have impressive stats and abilities. They're all elite monsters that shouldn't be underestimated. They can move ignoring terrain. If we don't deal with them, they'll keep hounding us. Lin Chia's hand rested on his waist sword as killing intent spread from him. I'm not good at games, but combat is my specialty. Clang. As the words fell, a crisp sound of a sword being drawn echoed through the corridor. Since Guan couldn't digitize the Kusanagi sword to bring into the game, the only weapon Lin Chia had was that straight sword. The bald security guard at the front glared fiercely at Lin Chia, swiftly extending his telescopic baton and swinging it directly against Lin Chia's blade. Clang. The collision between sword and baton made eardrums ache. Under the pure clash of strength, the bald security guard stumbled back 2 steps, looked at his slightly numb hand and gazed at Lin Chia with disbelief. How could someone be stronger than him? Lin Chia, on the other hand, naturally stepped back half a pace to absorb the force, his eyes showing surprise. It's worth noting that his current physical abilities could allow him to fight hand-to-hand with a main god. The fact that this person could face him head-on meant he possessed at least human peak-level combat power. Just a security guard, yet so strong? Before Lin Chia could attack again, the second security guard behind the door made his move. His hand swept across his waist, 2 handguns spinning rapidly between his fingers. The black gun barrels aimed at Lin Chia, and dazzling flashes erupted in succession. Bang bang bang. Crimson bullets emitted sharp whistles, heading straight for Lin Chia's face. Lin Chia frowned, not arrogantly trying to withstand them with his body. He shifted to avoid 2 bullets, then a flash of his blade precisely cut the 3rd bullet in midair. Red sparks scattered, the mysterious patterns on the bullet's surface burning hot, transforming into a fireball that instantly exploded, engulfing Lin Chia's figure. Brother Chia? Seeing this, Yulalongbai was about to help when a phantom figure flashed behind him. Target: security guard, hidden assassin. Health, skills, blade mastery, absolute invisibility, agility king, true blade. A chill emanated from behind Yulalongbai. His hand gripping the sword hilt at his waist suddenly exerted force, slashing an arc of blade light toward his back, colliding with a slender katana trailing orange-red sparks. This 3rd security guard's approach was too stealthy. If Yulalongbai hadn't remembered there were 3 people here and remained vigilant, he would likely have been beheaded. Simultaneously, a shadow dashed out from the flames. Lin Chia's eyes were sharp as he stepped in front of the gun-wielding guard. A cold blade light flashed through the void and crimson blood burst from the guard's body. From emerging from the fire to the flashing blade, Lin Chia moved too quickly. The gun-wielding guard hadn't even reacted yet. Looking at Lin Chia's health bar that still had 4/5 remaining, terror appeared in his eyes. In contrast, as Lin Chia's blade flashed past, the gunman's health bar instantly emptied. 0/21,000. As Lin Chia killed the gunman with 1 slash, a dark golden massive fist came from the side, smashing toward his face. Lin Chia immediately reversed his blade, slashing at the fist, but as the dark golden light suddenly brightened, the straight sword struck what felt like steel. Not only could it not advance an inch, but it was also directly repelled by the tremendous force. At the same time, the bald security guard's health bar seemed locked, displaying a golden color. Golden invincibility? Lin Chia saw the skill prompt above the guard and narrowed his eyes, immediately retreating. Though he hadn't played many games, he understood the concept of invincibility. While the bald guard's health was locked, he couldn't inflict any form of damage. But such an overpowered skill must have a duration limit. Once that time passed, it would be his chance to counterattack. After avoiding 2 punches from the bald guard, Lin Chia had retreated to the wall's edge. Just then AI Mimi's voice sounded again from the corridor's speakers. "Thank you for your cheers and applause. Let's all take a photo with Mimi. Watch the screen 3-2. The moment this voice sounded, Yulalongbai's expression changed. "It's heart group photo." She finished a song. "Quickly go to the stage for the photo." Before he finished speaking, that katana gleaming with cold light slashed at his throat from an extremely tricky angle, forcing Yulalongbai to step back. Lin Chia, cornered by the invincible guard, heard this and a gleam flashed in his eyes. He turned and punched through the wall between the corridor and the venue, rushing at full speed toward the crowded audience through the rising dust. "One cheese." Click. The image on the big screen froze. AI Mimi stood in the center wearing her uniform, energetically making a heart gesture toward the camera. The dense crowd of spectators below cheered, making the same gesture. At the very edge of the frame, a distant tiny figure was also making a heart gesture while sprinting toward the venue. Though he was too far away to be clearly seen beyond a vague human silhouette, he had definitely made it into the frame. Skill 2 Judgment. Judgment failed. When this prompt appeared, Lin Chia finally stopped, with sweat beading on his temples. No matter what, he had made it in time. Looking back, he saw a prompt floating above Yulalongbai's head behind the broken wall. Skill 2 Judgment. Judgment successful. Yulalongbai frowned, seeming to want to say something to Lin Chia, but in the next moment his figure was swallowed by black light, disappearing without a trace. "This is bad." Lin Chia's heart sank. He quickly turned toward the stage. At the place where Shin Qingzhu had died, a dark red panel was still counting down. Shin Qingzhu would revive in 3 minutes, and Yulalongbai had been locked in the black room by the heart group photo judgment. Now only he remained on the battlefield, fighting alone. The good news was, Yulalongbai was only imprisoned, not dead. But in a sense this was also bad news. After death, players only needed to wait 10 minutes to revive, but being imprisoned in the dungeon had no clear release time, meaning until Lin Chia found the dungeon and rescued him, only 2 people in the team would have mobility. Wait, if that's the case, if someone is imprisoned in the dungeon they shouldn't die, which means the team would actually be safer. As Lin Chia pondered this question, AI Mimi on stage smiled eerily. "That was a super great group photo. Next, a song Love I My Again, for everyone, let me hear your support, okay?" The cheers of tens of thousands of spectators rose again. At the same time, a prompt floated above Lin Chia's head. Skill 6, True Love Support. Judgment in progress. Skill 6. At the moment Lin Chia saw these words, his heart tensed up again. In their initial detection of the boss skills, Skill 6, True Love Support, was listed as unknown. Now suddenly seeing the judgment icon appear made him somewhat startled, considering that in their group of 3, 1 was dead and 1 was imprisoned. Something went wrong with him too, it would be game over. Lin Chia stared at AI Mimi on the stage, his mind highly focused. Skill 6, True Love Support. When AI Mimi needs support, all targets in the venue must simultaneously perform the correct support actions and shout the corresponding slogans. Otherwise 100% of HP will be instantly erased. Entering death state, before each support action, the audience will perform a demonstration. Seeing this skill description appear, Lin Chia froze in place. Perform actions and shout slogans? What kind of strange skill is this? While Lin Chia was stunned, the entire audience raised their light sticks and fan signs, moving in perfect unison as if they had rehearsed it. AI Mimi, you're the most beautiful. AI Mimi, you're the best. Spring breeze for 10 miles can't compare to you. I will accompany you forever. As the slogans rang out, all fans rhythmically waved their light sticks, interspersed with a heart gesture and a thumbs-up motion, leaving Lin Chia completely bewildered. Although he had never seen a fan support event before, this didn't prevent him from memorizing all the actions and slogans. As the second round of support began, Lin Chia, suppressing his embarrassment, softly recited the support phrases while repeating the support actions. At this moment, Lin Chia felt like killing Guanzaid. What the hell has this guy been researching besides coding? Skill 6. True Love Support, Judgment in Progress. Judgment failed. When these words floated above Lin Chia's head, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. But in the next moment, as if realizing something, his pupils contracted slightly. He suddenly turned his head toward the direction where Yuli Langbai had disappeared, muttering, "It's over." Meanwhile, concert underground. In the dark, cramped dungeon, Yuli Langbai rubbed his dizzy head and slowly stood up. So this is the dungeon. He looked around thoughtfully. It was a cell about 5 square meters in size. 5 surfaces were stone brick walls, with only the front-facing side being iron bars. Through the gaps in the bars he could see the scene outside the dungeon. Yuli Langbai gripped his long sword and struck forcefully against one of the surrounding walls, but couldn't leave even the slightest mark. He then turned the blade and slashed fiercely at the iron bars, but the recoil force sent the sword flying from his hand. Nothing in the cell can be destroyed. It seems impossible to escape on my own. Yuli Langbai narrowed his eyes looking outside. It appeared to be an independent underground space, but due to the dim lighting he couldn't clearly see what was out there. He sighed and sat down helplessly in the dungeon. If I can't escape on my own, I'll have to rely on my teammates to rescue me. I wonder how Brother Chia is doing now. As soon as he finished speaking, a line of small text floated above his head. He looked up puzzled. Skill 6. True Love Support, Judgment in Progress. Skill 6. Seeing these words, Yuli Langbai's heart sank, but after waiting for a long time, there was no change to this prompt. Does the judgment really take this long? Just as he was confused, another line of text appeared. Skill 6. True Love Support, Judgment Successful. Bang. Yuli Langbai's body violently exploded. Crimson blood splattered throughout the dungeon. Player Yuli Langbai, dead. Beyond the dark, lightless bars, a dark red panel floated in the void, silently flashing. Great Xia. Golden Coast. Xia Siming, wearing a sexy red and white swimsuit, was relaxing on the golden beach. One hand held a freshly opened coconut, which she gently shook, making the ice cubes inside clink melodiously. Captain, aren't you going for a swim? Vice Captain Chao Sha, wearing swim trunks that showed off his evenly tanned muscles, unconsciously attracted the attention of countless beautiful women on the beach. I can't swim. You guys go have fun. Xia Siming yawned and waved to the other team members playing in the water by the shore. All right then, we'll go first. Chao Sha nodded and walked straight toward the shore. The other 5 members of Phoenix Squad were already stepping in the seawater, laughing and splashing water at each other. The sparkling sea surface reflected their smiling faces. Except for the vice captain, all members of Phoenix Squad were women. This group of tall, perfectly toned beauties in swimsuits playing at the seaside attracted the attention of half the beach. Xia Siming seemed accustomed to this. She lay alone under the beach umbrella, leisurely beginning to doze off. Boom. Just then an earth-shattering roar came from the sea. The previously sparkling sea surface suddenly surged without warning. A thunderous sound echoed across the shore, startling everyone. Xia Siming abruptly sat up from the beach, only to see the sea and sky had dramatically changed. In the distance above the sea, a massive head formed of seawater rose up, blocking the entire sky. The giant shadow spread frantically along the coastline. Everyone on the beach stared dumbfounded at this miracle-like scene, momentarily forgetting to flee. Run! Xia Siming unhesitatingly threw away the coconut in her hand and shouted loudly. Only then did the nearby crowd come to their senses, fleeing in terror toward the beach exit. But the seawater was faster. That sky-covering seawater head had no intention of giving anyone a chance to escape, especially the Phoenix squad members and other tourists standing in the water. They had no opportunity to react before being swallowed by the waves. Seeing this, Xia Siming roared in anger, forcefully stomping her bare foot on the sand. She leaped up like a cannonball, throwing a punch toward the seawater head. The peak Klein-level spiritual power poured out wildly. This punch directly smashed a large hole in the seawater head, but it only hindered it momentarily before the hole was quickly filled with water again. The dark mass pressed toward the coastline. Boom! The seawater head pounced on the beach, suddenly opening its giant mouth. The surging seawater swallowed nearly 1,000 tourists on the shore, then rapidly retreated back to the sea. The entire coast instantly fell silent. Xia Siming's punch had created an opening, allowing her to leap back onto the water's surface, avoiding the tidal wave. Her eyes remained fixed on the seawater moving toward the border, her chest heaving violently. What kind of monster is this? Give me back my team members. Xia Siming didn't take the opportunity to escape, but instead plunged into the surging seawater, quickly disappearing with the undercurrent. Inside the gymnasium, Lin Chia looked at the edge of the panel at the second portrait that had turned gray and let out a long sigh. My skill. Lin Chia's gaze swept over his skill panel deep in thought. Like Xin Qingzhu, he had brought very few skills into the game. Apart from some regular combat techniques, he only brought in 2 abilities related to cause and effect. One was to forcibly implant causality by creating wounds, controlling a target for 5 minutes, and the other. Lin Chia scanned his surroundings, and saw a causality thread extending from where Yulilang Bai had disappeared, stretching all the way to the depths below ground. So that's where he is. Lin Chia quickly locked onto Yulilang Bai's position. 2 shadowy figures rushed out from the crowd, heading straight for Lin Chia at the edge of the venue. The remaining 2 security guards were quite troublesome, and one of them could cause real damage. At this critical moment, Lin Chia didn't plan to confront them directly. Everything would wait until Xin Qingzhu revived. He kept moving along the edge of the stadium, maneuvering around the 2 security guards. Before long, a grayed-out portrait lit up again. Gray wings spread from the stage and a figure quickly soared across the sky, landing near Lin Chia. Bai died? What happened? Xin Qingzhu's form was restored, his health bar returned to full, and he asked in a deep voice. Lin Chia recounted what had happened, then said, "The 2 security guards behind are yours to handle. I'll go rescue Bai first. Be careful." Got it. Xin Qingzhu flapped his wings and flew off with a whoosh. With Xin Qingzhu as backup, Lin Chia felt much more at ease. After all, if something happened to him with Xin Qingzhu around, the game could still continue. He followed the causality thread in the air, heading toward the other side of the stadium, moving farther and farther from the main venue. Seeing Lin Chia going off alone, the remaining bald guard and the assassin guard split up, intending to pursue separately. Just then a pair of gray wings blocked their path. Without a word, Xin Qingzhu compressed the air under his gray wings, then suddenly flapped them. A fierce wind swept up from the ground, sending both security guards flying into the air above the venue. Xin Qingzhu had learned his lesson this time, knowing the risk of fighting in the crowd was too great. He simply lifted the enemies into the sky, so the aftermath of the battle wouldn't easily affect the audience, and he could truly fight without holding back. As the 2 security guards were blown upward, Xin Qingzhu flapped his wings and flew up above the venue, watching the stadium shrink beneath his feet. Just as Xin Qingzhu was about to attack, his peripheral vision caught something beyond the massive stadium. His wings suddenly froze. Outside this lively and magnificent stadium, gray-white city ruins stretched all the way to the horizon. Rolling thick smoke drifted from various parts of the ruins, and countless missile explosion scars covered the ground. Dense wreckage of fighter jets and tanks filled the area outside the stadium, and among them, one could vaguely see grim skeletons scattered about. The scene before him looked exactly like a post-apocalyptic landscape after World War. You love me, I love you, I will never give up. The energetic song echoed from inside the stadium, resonating through every corner of this dead city, with frenzied cheers reaching the clouds. Inside the stadium the crowd roared. Outside, corpses lay everywhere. Shin Qingzhu's brows furrowed tightly. What kind of twisted world is this? Indoor stadium. Lin Chia checked the time and quickened his pace even more. He still couldn't fully understand AI Mimi's skills, but the last time she used Skill 2, Group Photo, and Skill 6, Support, it was during the interval after finishing a song. That meant if he couldn't find Yulilang Bai and bring him back to the main venue before this song ended, they would both be locked in the black room at the same time. At that point they would have to rely on Shin Qingzhu alone to save both of them. The risk was too great. Following the causality thread, Lin Chia arrived at a security door, pushed it, but it didn't budge at all. Locked? Lin Chia frowned, then simply punched the security door, distorting and deforming it until it collapsed with a crash. A dark staircase leading underground appeared in his vision. Lin Chia didn't hesitate and quickly moved downward. As the surrounding light gradually dimmed, a spacious open area appeared before him. Brother Chia? From the end of the darkness, Yulilang Bai's voice came through. Hearing this voice, Lin Chia knew he had reached the right place. This must be where the dungeon was located. Just as he was about to step forward to find Yulilang Bai, his peripheral vision swept the surroundings, causing his footsteps to pause slightly as confusion appeared in his eyes. In the dim light, dust-covered instruments were piled in the corners of this underground space, as if abandoned for a long time. Messy metal cabinets lay toppled to the side, empty bottles and jars shattered on the ground, resembling the remains of a vintage laboratory. Though puzzled, Lin Chia knew this wasn't the time to waste on these things. He needed to rescue Yulilang Bai as quickly as possible. He walked quickly to the iron fence, and through the gaps between the bars he could see Yulilang Bai standing inside, his eyes full of joy. "Bai, I'll get you out right away." Lin Chia's gaze fell on the center of the iron fence, where a strangely shaped giant lock faced outward, looking like a vintage slot machine. Time was pressing and Lin Chia didn't care what kind of lock it was. He punched it hard but couldn't budge it at all. "Brother Chia, this prison door can't be opened by force. There must be some special mechanism," Yulilang Bai reminded him. Seeing this, Lin Chia could only squat down and examine the giant lock carefully. As his fingertip lightly touched the lock, it suddenly lit up, and 3 rollers began spinning simultaneously with dense patterns flashing past. "What is this thing? A lottery?" Lin Chia frowned as he spoke. As if to answer his question, a panel floated out from the lock. "Complete the designated game to rescue the hostage imprisoned in the dungeon." "Lin Chia? Why do I need to complete a designated game just to rescue someone? Isn't this purely delaying time?" Although Lin Chia was extremely unwilling, rules were rules. He stared at the 3 constantly changing rollers, hoping it wouldn't be a particularly difficult game. Finally, all 3 rollers stopped on the same pattern, a black handgun. The moment he saw this gun, Lin Chia suddenly had an ominous premonition. The next moment, the lights above the dungeon lit up simultaneously, pale light illuminating the entire open space, as human-shaped targets sprang up from the ground, moving rapidly around the dungeon. Code flashed across Lin Chia's palm, and a black handgun materialized out of thin air. Objective: shoot down 19 targets within 30 seconds. Note: if not completed within the specified time limit, this lock will automatically lock for 5 minutes and cannot be opened in any form. When Lin Chia saw this prompt panel, his mouth twitched slightly and his heart sank to the bottom. At this moment he seriously suspected that Guanzai did this deliberately, designing this level specifically to make things difficult for him, thereby increasing the game difficulty for the entire team. "It's fine, just hitting 19 targets is like an easy difficulty minigame." Yulilang Bai in the dungeon also saw this panel and breathed a sigh of relief. But when he saw Lin Chia's ashen face, he suddenly felt that things might not be so simple. After hesitating for a moment, he tentatively asked, "Brother Chia, you can hit them, right?" Lin Chia opened his mouth about to say something, when a crisp bell sound rang from above the open space, officially starting the countdown. Lin Chia had no time to think about anything else. He immediately raised his gun and fired continuously at the rapidly moving targets. Dazzling flashes of fire erupted from the muzzle in succession, and gunshots echoed throughout the empty underground space. 11 bullets, 15 seconds. One target fell to the ground. Lin Chia. Yulalongbai. Looking at the remaining 18 targets, Lin Chia wanted nothing more than to crush the gun under his foot, then draw his sword and cut them all down. Wasn't this just making things difficult? Time ticked away second by second. In the remaining dozen or so seconds, hitting 18 targets was simply impossible for Lin Chia unless a miracle happened, and miracles were not present here. Yulalongbai's expression gradually changed from initial shock to anxiety. If the unlocking game was judged a failure, he couldn't be rescued from the dungeon, and the 5-minute forced lockdown would be enough for him to die on the spot again due to the support judgment. Finally, he gritted his teeth and swiped through the virtual item panel. The next moment, a silver-white handgun materialized in his palm. He pushed this gun through the fence gap, threw it to the ground and then shouted, "Brother Chia, use this gun." Hearing his voice, Lin Chia immediately picked up the silver-white gun from the ground and without thinking, pulled the trigger repeatedly at the remaining 18 rapidly moving targets. Bang bang bang. Within just 10 seconds, Lin Chia had fired 18 times. And all 18 targets that had been moving around the field were now hit and fallen. As the success prompt appeared, the giant lock on Yulalongbai's cell dropped to the ground. Lin Chia stared at the scene before him, his eyes filled with shock. He looked down at his palm and a panel emerged from the surface of the silver-white gun. B-class item. Silver-white gun. A self-aware handgun that doesn't require anyone to aim, capable of shooting any target within 800 meters on its own. A blessing for all those with poor hand-eye coordination. You can bring items from other games in here too? Lin Chia asked in surprise. Of course. Though I usually don't do this when playing Uncle Guan's games, Yulalongbai smiled sheepishly. Whether in the game world or the real world, everything operates based on a series of complex rules. Playing games is essentially about understanding rules, adapting to rules, utilizing rules and mastering rules. My ability is special. I can bring the rules of one game world into any other world. But when I do that, it becomes a contest between different rule sets, no longer just playing a game, but more like cheating. Using game world rules in the real world does seem like cheating. Lin Chia paused, looking into his eyes before continuing slowly. But isn't a contest between different rule sets just another, bigger game? Hearing these words, Yulalongbai froze. A bigger game. He murmured these words, lost in thought. We don't have much time, we need to get back to the venue quickly. Lin Chia looked at the time and said gravely. Yulalongbai nodded and followed behind Lin Chia. Just then his gaze swept across the edge of the underground space, and he let out a soft exclamation, stopping in his tracks. What's wrong? Lin Chia asked. There's something there. Yulalongbai looked at the large amount of discarded equipment and scattered broken bottles and jars, his eyes lighting up as he quickly walked over to them and began searching carefully. But this song is about to end, and if we don't get back in time for the photo and support, both of us will be locked up. An underground dungeon beneath a concert along with all these random items. Don't you find it strange? Yulalongbai said seriously. You mean, this place isn't as simple as it seems? Lin Chia raised an eyebrow. But isn't this just a game? Our goal is to defeat AI Mimi. Will exploring these things help? Brother Chia, you haven't played enough games. In-game maps, events completely unrelated to the main quest are rare. These things being here means they must serve a purpose. Perhaps we might find the key to completing the game. Lin Chia checked the time, seemingly wanting to say something more, but after hesitating briefly, he walked directly to Yulalongbai's side. I understand. Leave this to me, you hurry back to the venue. Yulalongbai was startled. Me alone? We can't both be left behind. You're best at playing games, so even if I miss the photo and get locked up, you can come back to rescue me. But if you get locked up, I can't guarantee I'll pass the unlocking game next time. Lin Chia waved at Yulalongbai, gesturing for him to leave quickly. Don't worry, I may not be good at games, but I'm decent at organizing clues and deduction. Seeing this, Yulalongbai said no more. He nodded firmly and rushed toward the venue. Lin Chia watched Yulalongbai's continuously decreasing health bar above his head, sighed helplessly, and began carefully searching through the pile of discarded items. Moments later, he pulled out a stack of yellowed scraps of paper from the bottom of a collapsed metal cabinet. Judging from the torn edges, they appeared to have been forcibly ripped apart. Lin Chia narrowed his eyes, spread these scraps across the floor, and quickly began reconstructing them through the causal threads connecting them. About half a minute later, a document full of cracks was laid out before Lin Chia. In the upper right corner of the document was a front-facing photo of a young girl who looked very similar to AI Mimi. Lin Chia's gaze swept across the document, his expression gradually becoming solemn. After pondering for a moment, he looked up at the void above his head and murmured as if speaking to someone. Artificial God. He did this on purpose? Lin Chia thoroughly searched the underground space and after confirming there were no omissions, rushed at full speed toward the direction he came from. But just as he took a step, a prompt appeared floating above his head. Skill 2 Judgment in progress. Judgment successful. Lin Chia's pupils contracted slightly, and before he could react, his form had already appeared behind the dungeon fence that had previously trapped Yulalongbai. Looking at the dim, deathly quiet underground space, Lin Chia sighed helplessly. He had spent too much time underground and ultimately failed to make it to AI Mimi's group photo with heart gesture. However, judging from the absence of others in the dungeon, Shin Qingzhu and Yulalongbai had successfully passed the Skill 2 judgment. Lin Chia raised his head to gaze at the void above and sure enough, another prompt floated out. Skill 6 Judgment in progress. Here it comes. As Lin Chia had guessed, after the photo skill came the True Love Support Judgment. He immediately recalled the memory of the previous judgment and quietly recited the slogan with the corresponding actions alone in the dungeon. Although he had been imprisoned in the dungeon, Lin Chia had witnessed the first support session. If he could avoid death in this judgment, it would undoubtedly reduce a lot of trouble. Under Lin Chia's watchful gaze, another prompt floated out. Skill 6 Judgment successful. Bang. To Lin Chia's astonished eyes, his body instantly exploded into a mist of blood, dissipating within the dungeon. At the same time, a dark red countdown panel appeared. At the venue. AI Mimi, you're the most beautiful. AI Mimi, you're the best. Nothing in the world compares to you. 1,000 origins traced only for you. At the front of the stage, Shin Qingzhu and Yulalongbai obediently made scissor hand and heart gestures, their expressions extremely stiff. That's not right, Shin Qingzhu frowned as he spoke. What's not right? The lines and hand gestures are different from what Seven Knight told us. Shin Qingzhu frowned as he stared at AI Mimi on stage. Does this person change the support method each time? Just as Yulalongbai was about to say something, he saw Lin Chia's avatar dim. It probably changes, otherwise you could just memorize one set of support actions and respond to Skill 6 Judgment anytime, anywhere in the future, which would make this skill 2 useless. Yulalongbai said solemnly. Now it seems that Skill 2 Photo and Skill 6 Support are both similar to roll call skills, requiring players to be present at the venue at regular intervals. The question now is, does she release skills according to a pattern? Or at her will? If it's the former, that would be much easier to deal with. We would just need to return every song interval to accept the roll call, to perfectly avoid the risks of these two skills. But if she can randomly change the order and timing of skill releases, that would be troublesome. So what do we do now? Like Lin Chia, Shin Qingzhu was not skilled at playing games. Yulalongbai was the only gaming master among the three, so it was natural to ask for his opinion. Did you take care of the remaining 2 security guards? Yes, I did. Yulalongbai nodded. Good, then let's conduct an experiment together. An experiment? Shin Qingzhu asked in surprise. Shouldn't we rescue Seven Knight first? His resurrection takes 10 minutes and going now won't help get him out. Anyway, I've memorized the route. From here to rescuing him, I need at most 3 minutes. Yulalongbai said confidently. Alright, tell me what to do. Yuli Langbai leaned over and whispered something in Shin Qingzhu's ear, causing the latter's expression to become somewhat strange. Are you sure? Yes. Fine, but be careful. Shin Qingzhu's figure flickered as he quickly moved along the edge of the venue, circling to the back of the stage as if searching for something. Thank you all for your support. The next song is for everyone. AI Mimi seemed completely immersed in the concert. Due to continuous singing and dancing, her cheeks were covered in sweat, her pretty face flushed. Amid the audience's cheers, a cheerful, melodious tune sounded again. When I'm different from the world, then let me be different, persist. Click. Just as AI Mimi and the audience below were becoming entranced, all the lights in the venue suddenly went dark, the brilliant screen forcibly shut down, and all the music abruptly stopped. Many audience members looked at each other in confusion, while Yuli Langbai in the crowd slightly raised the corners of his mouth. AI Mimi stood on the darkened stage, frowning toward the direction of the venue's control room, murmuring something softly, and 3 figures swiftly darted out from below the stage. Skill 3. Security Team Summon. With the initiation of this skill, the 3 previously dead security guards, Baldy, Gunman and Assassin, were simultaneously resurrected. 2 of them rushed toward a certain wall, ignoring terrain, while the assassin's figure simply disappeared without a trace. Yuli Langbai's cross-star eyes narrowed slightly as he raised the silver-white gun in his hand, pointing the black barrel at AI Mimi on the darkened stage. Just as he was about to pull the trigger, a cry of alarm came from beside him. Several fans crowded next to him almost simultaneously moved their bodies toward the gun barrel. But Yuli Langbai seemed to have anticipated their movements and, taking advantage of his height, simply raised the gun above his head. Without aiming, without hesitation, he instantly pulled the trigger. Bang! Sparks flew as a bullet shot out from the chamber at extreme speed, making a right angle in the air, shooting toward AI Mimi on stage. The next moment, a blade gleam slashed out in front of AI Mimi, precisely cutting the bullet in half in midair. The assassin's security guard's form emerged from nothingness, his samurai sword flashing with cold light. AI Mimi stood behind him, her eyes fixed on Yuli Langbai, her expression changing slightly, her gaze alternating between anger and complexity. Tisk. Seeing his attack fail, Yuli Langbai unhesitatingly put away his gun and turned to run toward the venue's interior. At the same time, all the lights and screens in the venue lit up again. The abruptly stopped song automatically continued, and AI Mimi on stage quickly changed her expression, putting on a sweet smile and continuing to lip-sync to the pre-recorded audio. Seeing the performance resume, the fans directly recovered from their previous confusion and continued to cheer enthusiastically. Reaching the edge of the venue, Yuli Langbai saw this scene and sighed slightly in relief. It was as he had guessed. After a complete power outage, AI Mimi's recorded voice would also be interrupted, and even after power was restored, she would continue performing to avoid exposing the fact that she was lip-syncing, rather than immediately entering the next, chorus, and support segments. After power interruption, the recovery time interval is 10 seconds. Yuli Langbai silently noted this number in his heart as he rushed toward the dungeon. Yuli Langbai, relying on his memory, quickly navigated through the indoor venue and soon found the stairs leading underground. At the same time, an invisible killing intent penetrated through the wall, closely following behind him. Just as Yuli Langbai stepped onto the last section of stairs, a cold flash slashed out from nothingness, cutting toward the back of his head. Yuli Langbai gritted his teeth, quickly raising his long sword to block behind him, but he couldn't clearly see the direction of the invisible assassin's attack. With his body extremely weak, by the time the blade grazed his cheek, he had already staggered backward into the center of the underground chamber. Yuli Langbai looked up at his health bar, 1430/1600. Originally, his health cap was 2,100 points, but as the organ failure in his physical body became increasingly severe, his life force rapidly drained away, leaving him with only 1,600 points now. Although he blocked the invisible assassin's strike, he still lost a significant amount of health. In his current physical state, he could no longer sustain intense face-to-face combat. Yuli Longbai spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, steadied himself in the center of the underground space, glanced at the invisible assassin security guard coming down the stairs, gritted his teeth and rushed toward the dungeon where Lin Chia was located. Longbai, are you all right? Lin Chia, who had just returned from death, watched this scene with an extremely grave expression. Yuli Longbai's lips were pale and he had no time to answer. Ignoring the approaching invisible assassin behind him, he directly initiated the lock-picking game on the lock. As the three rollers' patterns locked into place, a wooden board appeared beneath him. Objective: complete the Klotsky puzzle within 30 seconds by moving 20 wooden blocks of various sizes to help Chow Chow escape from the predicament. Seeing this prompt, Yuli Longbai's expression remained unchanged. He focused intently on the complex wooden board before him, and after a moment began rapidly moving the blocks with his fingertips. An invisible killing intent swiftly approached from behind. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. When the timer had just reached the 5th second, Yuli Longbai completed the movement of the last wooden block, and the dungeon door automatically sprung open. Without thinking, Yuli Longbai lunged to the side. Simultaneously, a flash of blade light shot out from the dungeon at extreme speed, chopping toward the emptiness behind Yuli Longbai. Clay. Clay. Under the absolute invisibility ability, Lin Chia couldn't see the invisible assassin's form or the trajectory of the blade. This blind swing hit the hilt of the katana, while at the same time, the edge of the katana left a hideous bloody gash on his body. As a damage notification floated above Lin Chia's head, his health bar instantly emptied by 1/3. Under the true damage skill, each of the invisible assassin's strikes could ignore total health and deal percentage-based damage. The invisible assassin's form was also outlined. Without thinking, Lin Chia swung his blade again. When the second resonating sound rang out, the invisible assassin was already flying backward, spraying blood. The invisible assassin's health bar instantly emptied. In less than 2 seconds, Lin Chia and the invisible assassin had each exchanged a strike. The difference was that the invisible assassin's strike didn't kill Lin Chia, while Lin Chia's strike directly killed the invisible assassin, who was as fragile as paper. "Brother Chia, are you okay?" Yuli Longbai immediately asked. "I'm fine. This guy's skills somewhat counter mine, but in a one-on-one situation he can't kill me," Lin Chia said with a wave of his hand. To prepare for the next group photo and support, the two quickly returned to the venue. At the same time, Shin Qingzhu descended from the air. "Did you deal with those two?" "No," Shin Qingzhu shook his head. "I circled the venue as you said and didn't find any exposed sound equipment or wiring on the surface, but I found the main power switch. I crushed it to pieces, but not long after it restored itself. Later those two security guards found me. The bald one's invincibility skill is very troublesome. Fearing you two might encounter unexpected problems, I didn't fight them to the death but flew away to temporarily shake them off." Shin Qingzhu paused for a moment, then continued. "Also, there's something I think you both should see." "What is it?" Shin Qingzhu took the two of them flying to the top of the gymnasium. Seeing the surrounding city ruins, Lin Chia and Yuli Longbai frowned simultaneously. "The background of this game is indeed not as simple as it appears on the surface," Yuli Longbai remarked thoughtfully. "Judging from the marks on the ground, this city must have undergone carpet bombing by missiles." Lin Chia carefully examined the surroundings and slowly said, "There are no ordinary civilian corpses in the ruins, so they must have been evacuated in advance. These tank and fighter jet wreckages are mostly around the perimeter of the gymnasium, so the target must have been this place." Shin Qingzhu nodded. "I flew to higher ground and saw that the nearby cities were also mostly destroyed, though differently from here. They look like they suffered nuclear strikes." "Missile bombardment and nuclear strikes. Could it be a world war?" Yuli Longbai asked in surprise. "If it were a world war, why would those tanks and planes surround this place?" Lin Chia pondered for a moment, then continued, "I also found some things in the laboratory ruins underground." Lin Chia took out a file from his pocket. The surface of the file was covered in cracks, and in its upper right corner, A photo of a young girl first caught everyone's eye. Is that AI Mimi? Shin Qingzhu immediately recognized the girl. Although she looked much younger than now, her features were still very similar. Lin Chia nodded. Beneath this gymnasium was once a secret research facility dedicated to studying the conversion of human emotions into energy, and AI Mimi was once one of their test subjects. According to the records in this file, AI Mimi performed exceptionally well in the experiments. Due to her excellent adaptability to the drugs and her ability to manipulate emotions, the facility even launched a new project based on her. The specific content of the project isn't clearly recorded in this file, but what can be confirmed is that the project was called the Second Pure Land. Hearing these 4 words, Shin Qingzhu suddenly froze and turned to look at Yoli Longbai beside him. Yoli Longbai stood bewildered. Second Pure Land. That's right, Lin Chia's expression was somewhat complex. Laboratory drugs, Pure Land, these things should be very familiar to you. The true background of this game isn't just a simple fanatical concert. Essentially, it's a continuation of the human circle, Pure Land. And also a continuation of you, the first artificial god who escaped from Pure Land. Pomelo Perlongbai was stunned for a long time before coming back to his senses, looking up at the void, lost in thought. Why did Guan specifically choose the concepts of artificial god and Pure Land for the background of this game? What exactly does he want to do? So, what we know now is that Mai, like Longbai, is also a test subject for artificial gods. Shin Qingzhu pondered aloud. That's right, Lin Chia nodded. Her ability seems to be related to the energization of emotions. But since the setting is Second Pure Land, it should be more advanced than the Pure Land we've faced before. I wonder how far they've progressed in improving artificial gods. No matter how far they've gotten from the current situation, they seem to have failed. Shin Qingzhu slowly spoke. The laboratory abandoned underground, no one from the Second Pure Land seen so far, and Mai regaining her freedom. It's possible these ruins outside were caused by her. I think it might be quite the opposite, Lin Chia said seriously. If Mai truly destroyed the Second Pure Land by herself and escaped, it means her power has exceeded the researcher's imagination. In a sense, her experiment was successful. After thinking for a moment, Shin Qingzhu agreed with Lin Chia's assessment. But these are just background details. What's most important now is figuring out how to defeat her. At this moment, Longbai, who had been silent all along, suddenly raised his head, a glimmer of light appearing in his eyes. I have a plan. Great Xia. Commander-in-Chief's office. Commander. Secretary Min Junliang hurriedly pushed open the office door. Seeing the monk Summing sitting behind the desk earnestly reviewing documents, Min Junliang quickly remembered that Commander Lin was not at headquarters, and all affairs were being handled by Summing. What is it? Summing calmly asked. The Golden Coast has been attacked, and over 1,000 tourists have all disappeared. Golden Coast. Summing frowned slightly. Was it done by a mystery? No. Divine power fluctuations were detected in the sea at that time. It should be the work of a deity. After hesitating for a moment, Min Junliang continued. Among the living deities who can manipulate seawater on a large scale, it should only be Poseidon. He moved too quickly. By the time we noticed, he had already taken everyone beyond Great Xia's borders. Wu Tongxian, Master Qin and Qin Han have already reached the mist wall and are ready to pursue at any moment. Min Junliang anxiously looked at Summing. Should we order immediate pursuit? Poseidon. After pondering for a moment, Summing shook his head. No need. Have Wu Tongxian and the others return. Min Junliang was stunned. Return? But those 1,000 ordinary people may not have been harmed yet. If we pursue now, with Wu Tongxian and the 2 top experts working together, there's a high probability we could kill Poseidon and rescue them. I said have them return. Summing's voice showed no emotional fluctuation. With Lin Chia absent, I am the commander-in-chief of the Night Watchers. Execute the order. Min Junliang opened his mouth, seemingly wanting to persuade him further, but seeing those calm, unwavering eyes, he could only sigh helplessly and turn to leave. Just then a voice suddenly came from behind. Was that Phoenix Squad also taken? Summing asked. Phoenix Squad. Min Junliang paused for a moment. The incident occurred at the coastline with no surveillance, so we can't identify the victims in the short term. But the Phoenix Squad's last known movements were indeed near the coastline. I'll try to contact them right away. Min Junliang immediately made several calls in the hallway. About 3 minutes later he returned to the office with a grave expression. That Phoenix Squad is out of contact and was likely caught by Poseidon. But with Xia Ximing's strength, even if she couldn't stop Poseidon, escaping shouldn't have been a problem. Summing narrowed his eyes, his fingertips gently moving as if calculating something with the threads of cause and effect. I see, he nodded. For the next period of time, no one is allowed to leave Great Xia's borders. Which teams are currently executing missions in the mist? Only the Ignite and Demon squads have the capability to explore the mist, but the Demon squad is currently on vacation. Only the Ignite squad is active in the mist, though not near Olympus. Good. Summing gazed at his fingertips alone, saying nothing more. The mist. Olympus. Beneath the cloud-shrouded mountains, a massive tidal wave rose from the misty shore and crashed thunderously against the reefs. Countless figures were swept out of the seawater, piled together like corpses. A tall figure holding a golden trident slowly walked from the water onto the shore. Poseidon's gaze swept over the people on the shore as he calmly walked toward Mount Olympus. Just then a figure trailing black light descended from the sky. Hades, the king of the underworld, stood firmly in front of him. Looking at the unconscious figures along the shore, he frowned and spoke. What are you doing? Poseidon glanced at the massive numeral 6 in the sky above Mount Olympus and slowly said, Since Great Xia has declared war on us in this manner, we naturally need to show some sincerity of our own. Capturing these ordinary people as bargaining chips, are you trying to provoke them? Poseidon gave a cold laugh. Human emotions are far more abundant than gods and also more fragile. If they are provoked by this, they will lose their composure. Unfortunately, Dionysus and I ambushed in the mist for a long time but didn't see any Great Xia powerhouses coming after us. But it doesn't matter. 6 days later, when they set foot on Mount Olympus, these people will be our gift. Looking at the humans along the shore, a cold gleam appeared in Poseidon's eyes. Have someone lock them up and throw them some food every day. Just make sure that at least half of them are still alive after 6 days. Hades observed Poseidon for a long time before chuckling. They all say I'm evil and vicious, but I never expected your heart to be even darker than mine. Poseidon glanced at him without saying anything, then walked straight toward the central peak of Olympus. Hades casually scanned these humans, suddenly pausing on an unconscious girl in a swimsuit. He frowned slightly, observing her with puzzlement before exclaiming in surprise. Oh, there's actually an agent of Athena here? What an unexpected pleasure. Body of the gymnasium. Life hanging by a thread, breath held tightly in hand. Dead ends not worth a laugh, soul broken, for whom does the blade unsheathe? To announce to the world. The general has returned triumphant, building the strongest fortress. AI Mimi held the microphone in one hand, her light green skirt dancing in the wind, her passionate singing voice swirling above the venue. What song is this? Lin Chia stood beside Shin Qingzhu in the audience, raising an eyebrow and asking curiously. I don't know, but it sounds pretty good. Shin Qingzhu shook his head. Never mind, let's follow Longbai's strategy. Lin Chia's eyes focused as he quickly leaped from the crowd and landed steadily on the stage. The moment Lin Chia stepped onto the stage, the LED screens on the floor quickly turned red. The crimson light illuminated AI Mimi's face from below, giving her originally cute and pretty face an indescribable eeriness. During the performance, fan interaction on stage is not allowed. AI Mimi's voice rang out, followed by a blink. Lin Chia was prepared and promptly shifted his gaze elsewhere. Skill 1, judgment in progress. Judgment failed. So far, everything was proceeding exactly as it had when Shin Qingzhu first went on stage. The beautiful girl in the distance was like a boss program executing commands according to rules. Even the intervals between skill activations were exactly the same. Lin Chia strode toward AI Mimi. "Don't hurt Mimi. Mimi, I'll protect you." Several voices called out. From both sides of the T-shaped stage, several audience members unhesitatingly stepped onto the stage, some shielding AI Mimi, others charging headfirst toward Lin Chia. But this time Lin Chia didn't use any weapons at all, and even raised both hands in a gesture of surrender. Several audience members like a wall filled the narrow stage walkway. Just as Lin Chia was about to do something, a dark golden hand like a millstone grabbed his shoulder from behind. Lin Chia looked back to see the bald security guard had arrived behind him, his face extremely fierce. Without a word, Lin Chia swung his fist at the bald security guard's face, but it was blocked by the latter's hands. Just as the bald security guard was about to counterattack, a slap landed precisely on his cheek. Slap. This slap had almost no damage but was extremely insulting. The bald security guard was stunned, feeling one side of his face swelling. Looking at Lin Chia's mocking expression, he became furious. Lin Chia didn't linger to fight, turning to jump off the stage and rushing toward the indoor venue, with the bald security guard in hot pursuit. On the other side of the stage, Yuzuri Longbai's lips curved slightly upward. The first phase of the plan was executed perfectly by Lin Chia. Through provocation and attack, he lured the most troublesome bald security guard away from AI Mimi, weakening her defensive forces. In Yuzuri Longbai's words, this was called tank initiating combat, drawing aggro and kiting the monster. AI Mimi's performance didn't stop because of this small incident. As the stage returned to its normal color, her singing continued to echo throughout the venue. After the audience members also left the stage, Shin Qingzhu exchanged glances with Yuzuri Longbai in the distance, who nodded at him. Yuzuri Longbai turned and quickly disappeared into the crowd. AI Mimi's singing ended with the music. After finishing the song, she was again covered in sweat. She smiled and waved continuously to the audience below, eliciting many cheers. Did everyone like before 10,000 people? We love it. Everyone look at the camera with Mimi, let's record this precious moment. As she spoke, AI Mimi and the audience appeared on the giant screen, and a countdown quickly began. 3, 2. The shouting of AI Mimi and the entire audience could be clearly heard by Lin Chia even from the indoor venue. He slashed a wound on the bald security guard's arm, and a line of small text floated above the latter's head. Under the bald security guard's block, the damage from this slash was not ideal. Two dark golden fist shadows like millstones whistled toward Lin Chia's face, but were consecutively dodged. Lin Chia glanced in the direction of the venue countdown, his eyes narrowing, showing no intention of rushing into the venue for the group photo. 1. Cheese. Just as the group photo countdown reached 0, the entire venue suddenly went dark, and the photo image on the giant screen disappeared. By the main power switch, Yuzuri Longbai lowered his gun, his cross-star-like eyes flashing with light. He turned and sprinted toward the venue. Step 2. Interrupt the boss skill casting. Almost simultaneously, a figure with gray wings on his back rose from the crowd. The confused audience in the darkened venue only felt a gust of wind rushing overhead as Shin Qingzhu crossed over the crowd and arrived directly above AI Mimi. During the first probe, not knowing the skills, Shin Qingzhu had stood at the edge of the stage with a small distance between him and AI Mimi, which allowed audience members to climb onto the stage. But this time Shin Qingzhu wouldn't make the same mistake. Using his flight ability, he could fly directly over the T-shaped stage and land right in front of AI Mimi. In this power outage, even if the confused audience members reacted, they wouldn't have time to rush to AI Mimi's side to protect her. These 10 seconds of power outage were their best opportunity to kill AI Mimi. Bang! A crisp gunshot echoed through the venue, sparks erupting from behind AI Mimi as a bullet engraved with crimson patterns shot straight at Shin Qingzhu's face in midair. Even though Lin Chia had lured away the bald security guard and the audience was left behind, there was still a gunman security guard protecting AI Mimi. As the gunshot rang out, Shin Qingzhu immediately dodged sideways, a red line grazing past him and exploding into a ball of intense fire behind him. The gunman's security guard showed no intention of stopping, firing both guns continuously, sending a hail of bullets toward the six-winged Shin Qingzhu in the air. Shin Qingzhu was not Lin Chia and dared not directly withstand these bullets. The gunman's security guard's damage value was the highest among the three security guards, and even he couldn't take more than a few shots. Because of this, his figure was forcibly blocked in midair. Given time, dealing with this gunman's security guard would not be a problem for Shin Qingzhu, but the power outage would only last 10 seconds. Shin Qingzhu couldn't use large-scale damage skills, nor could he withstand the hail of bullets, so he could only continuously dodge in the air, and 8 seconds had already passed. But Shin Qingzhu wasn't panicking, because he knew that keeping the gunman's security guard occupied was his original task. Bang bang bang. 3 more gunshots rang out, but this time the direction of the gunfire didn't come from the gunman's security guard. At the edge of the venue, a sweating figure in white clothes, holding a silver-white handgun, appeared as if he had just finished an intense sprint, with wisps of blue smoke drifting from the gun barrel. The next moment, 3 bullets pierced through AI Mimi's temple, heart and abdomen. AI Mimi's health bar was instantly emptied. AI Mimi's figure fell to the ground, a pool of blood soaking the stage. The audience below instantly fell into dead silence. Shin Qingzhu dodged the rain of bullets, looking down to confirm that AI Mimi had become a corpse. Only then did he slightly relax. The security guard emptied 2 magazines, reloading with amazing speed, the interval between changing magazines less than a second. But in this extremely short time, Shin Qingzhu flapped his wings and instantly flashed above him. As a palm pressed on the security guard's head, the latter's health bar instantly emptied, and he fell powerlessly below the stage. But at this moment Yoli Longbai's brows furrowed. Mimi. AI Mimi. What happened to you, Mimi? After a brief silence, the audience below the stage began screaming as if insane, their facial features twisted in distortion, eyes bloodshot, as if the one who died wasn't just a beautiful idol girl, but the most irreplaceable loved one in their lives. The screams of tens of thousands gathered together, drowning out even the gunshots from the battle between the security guard and Shin Qingzhu, making Lin Chia's eardrums ache. Damn. Have these fans gone mad? Shin Qingzhu looked down at the frenzied fans below, who had begun to continuously claw at their necks and chests with their fingernails, their eyes filled with anxiety, hysterically calling out AI Mimi's name. Mimi, come back. Mimi, come back. Mimi, come back. The sharp howls gradually became uniform. Tens of thousands of fans began chanting in the same rhythm, calling the same name. Shin Qingzhu frowned, about to take the opportunity to finish off the security guard below, when his eyes swept across a certain part of the stage, and his pupils suddenly contracted. In the pool of blood, a figure slowly stood up. The still warm bullet was forcibly squeezed out of her temple, the black hole closing through self-healing, the blood on the ground flowing back up her skirt into her body. The previously emptied health bar was visibly recovering. At the same time, a notification floated above her head. Skill 5. Energetic Idol. When AI Mimi dies, if there are more than 100 fanatical followers within a 3-kilometer range performing undying support, AI Mimi is determined to be reborn, refreshing all status values and cooldown times for all skills after rebirth. Skill 5 Verification in progress. Verification successful. Seeing this text, Yoli Longbai's expression grew even more solemn. As expected, this boss wasn't so simple. More than 100? Shin Qingzhu's brows tightly furrowed. It's worth noting that this concert venue now had tens of thousands of people, all fanatical followers. This meant that to kill AI Mimi they would have to deal with those fanatical fans. But the mission requirements stipulated they couldn't harm ordinary people. By this logic, wouldn't she never be killed? Dear fans, I'm back. AI Mimi regained her form under the spotlight and energetically shouted to the sea of people before her. Let me hear your voices. AI Mimi. Deafening cheers erupted from the venue. Seeing AI Mimi's return, everyone's voices rose even higher than before, almost enough to collapse the stadium. As the sound rose, a dazzling light burst from AI Mimi's body. Skill 4. Your cheers are my power. When the support cheers reach 125 decibels, AI Mimi enters Berserk mode, increasing maximum health by 1,000,000%, strength, movement speed and endurance by 100,000%, with no intervals between skill releases. In Berserk mode, Skill 1 Cute Girl's Wink no longer requires eye contact. All hostile creatures locked by AI Mimi's gaze instantly lose 100% health and enter death state. The moment these two lines of text appeared, AI Mimi's original 200 health points rapidly extended, the numbers flying up until they reached a terrifying 2,000,000 points in an instant. It's worth noting that even Lin Chia with his primordial spirit embryo only had a maximum health of 1.1 million, and after being cut by the assassin security guard, only 2/3 remained. Now the combined health of the three of them couldn't reach even half of hers. The three had extremely grim expressions. Even Lin Chia, who wasn't much of a gamer, knew that this skill 4 was far too powerful. It not only raised AI Mimi's health to a terrifying value but also modified the judgment of the Wink ability, transforming it from a useless skill into an invincible look and kill ability. Bro, can you remove the air around AI Mimi to stop the cheers from spreading? Lin Chia shouted from the edge of the venue. Damn it! I didn't bring my air extraction ability in. Otherwise I would have used it already. Shin Qingzhu glanced at his skill bar again, seeing only the lonely flight and fireball skills, nearly cursing out loud in anger. As the two were speaking, AI Mimi looked up toward the sky. Shin Qingzhu's expression changed and he immediately flapped his wings, spinning in the air, leaving only a trail of afterimages. The current AI Mimi possessed the ability to kill with a single glance. If he stopped moving and was noticed by her, he would certainly die. Fortunately, his flight skill was still active, and AI Mimi couldn't match his speed. Basically all skills have been forced out. Retreat first. Yoli Langbai immediately spoke. Shin Qingzhu nodded, about to flap his wings to leave when a huge countdown appeared on the supersized screen. Let's take a photo together. 3, 2. Skill 2, Heart Pose Group Photo. Hearing this, the three felt their hearts sink to the bottom. Lin Chia immediately abandoned the bald security guard and rushed toward the center of the venue at full speed. Yoli Langbai, who had been observing from the very edge, did the same. In this brief half-second, Shin Qingzhu's mind raced. Gritting his teeth, he turned back to look toward the supersized screen, beginning the heart pose photo judgment. 1 cheese. The moment the photo was taken, AI Mimi in the center of the stage suddenly turned her head and lightly winked her right eye at Shin Qingzhu, who was frozen in the air for the photo. Shin Qingzhu's pupils suddenly contracted. Skill 2 Judgment. Judgment failed. Skill 1 Judgment. Judgment successful. Bang. As these two lines of text appeared above Shin Qingzhu's head one after another, his figure exploded into a spray of blood, leaving only a countdown panel floating in the air. I saw Shin Qingzhu instantly drop dead and Lin Chia's fists clenched tightly. Unsolvable. Completely unsolvable. Skill 2 Heart Pose Group Photo. Requires the target to take a photo with AI Mimi, but during this process moving too quickly creates afterimages, causing the photo judgment to fail. But slowing down means being instantly killed by AI Mimi's glance. What about not stopping? Not stopping can certainly avoid the instant kill from Wink. But failing the photo judgment results in being forcibly imprisoned in the dungeon. If AI Mimi launches another round of support, survival is impossible and being trapped in the dungeon requires a teammate to rescue. It's worth noting that AI Mimi's skills currently have no cooldown. If someone goes to rescue, she can release photo plus support again midway, imprisoning and killing both people simultaneously. Just as Lin Chia's mind was racing, AI Mimi on stage smiled slightly, and a huge countdown appeared again on the big screen. That last photo didn't turn out well, let's take another one, shall we? 3. Damn, is she trying the same trick again? Lin Chia gritted his teeth, his eyes flashing with determination. Instead of retreating, he advanced, his feet stomping the ground forcefully. With terrifying power, his figure shot like a cannonball across the crowded venue, heading straight for the stage. Long Bai. Simultaneously, Yulalong Bai quickly reacted, running again toward the main power switch. 2. 1. Clay. Lin Chia landed on the stage, his figure rapidly passing through the void, a flash of blade light blooming from his waist. Che. Before AI Mimi could finish her last word, the venue's power was cut off again. As the lights and big screen went dark, a flash of blade light swept across the beautiful girl's neck. Minus 49,999. The blade passed through, leaving only a faint blood mark on AI Mimi's throat. Previously, this strike could have killed hundreds of AI Mimis, but now it was just the tip of the iceberg against her 2 million health points. With Yulalong Bai's power cut, Lin Chia gained a 10-second breathing space. At least during this time, AI Mimi couldn't use the deadly photo wink combination, giving him a chance to counterattack. On stage, a blade light danced at an astonishing speed in the darkness, while AI Mimi's figure also left trails of afterimages as she dodged and retreated. In her berserk state, AI Mimi possessed speed and endurance not inferior to Lin Chia's, but she knew nothing about fighting and could only passively defend and dodge. The sharp-eyed Lin Chia naturally noticed this weakness and, seizing an opening, launched a frenzied attack. Dense damage indicators flashed from AI Mimi's body, and her health visibly decreased. In just 8 short seconds, Lin Chia had forcibly reduced her health by nearly 900,000 points. At this moment, audience members began climbing onto the stage from the darkness, shouting and rushing toward Lin Chia. Lin Chia immediately withdrew, no longer striking with his blade. Instead, he quickly moved around the edge of the stage, ensuring he wasn't locked onto by AI Mimi while also avoiding physical contact with these ordinary people. Click. With a light sound, power returned to the venue. The bright lights all came on and the big screen switched back to the photo page. Inside the control room, Yulalong Bai saw the main power switch automatically reset and raised his gun to shoot again, but a golden light flashed across the switch surface, directly deflecting his bullet. The power switch couldn't be damaged consecutively. This was a rule of the game. Although Yulalong Bai had guessed this mechanism would exist, he was still extremely anxious. After all, cutting the power was their only method to counter the deadly photo wink combination. Without the ability to cut power, how could Lin Chia survive the next judgment? Even counting the 3 seconds of photo preparation, Lin Chia couldn't possibly eliminate the remaining 1.1 million health points in time. Yulalong Bai abandoned the main power switch and quickly ran toward the edge of the venue while his mind raced. Uncle Guan's games can't be absolutely unsolvable. There must be something I'm overlooking. Which mechanism has a loophole? On stage, AI Mimi's voice sounded again. Everyone, don't worry, let's take another photo. 3, 2. The photo countdown started again. The audience members who had been chasing on stage returned to their seats. The super-large screen clearly reflected everyone's faces, with only one afterimage rapidly flashing across the stage. 1 cheese. Without a power cut, this photo proceeded smoothly. At the moment the image froze, Lin Chia's figure suddenly stopped in place. Almost simultaneously, AI Mimi turned to look. Just as Lin Chia's figure was about to be captured in her sight, her vision suddenly went black. AI Mimi felt a pair of hands pressed tightly against her eye sockets, immovable like iron clamps. She was stunned, then spoke in disbelief. How is this possible? Where did a 4th person come from? From the beginning, AI Mimi knew there were only 3 enemies. Xin Qingzhu had already been killed by her and was still in the death countdown, while Lin Chia and Yulalong Bai were both in the photo. Where did this person come from who could cover her eyes? And how had she not sensed them at all? The moment her eyes were plunged into darkness, AI Mimi felt a sharp edge slash against her body. Then the slashing speed increased and her health bar began to plummet. If AI Mimi could open her eyes now, she would discover that the person covering her eyes was none other than the bald security guard. Strands of cause and effect threads extended from the bald security guard's blood marks, converging in Lin Chia's left hand. Golden light flickered on the security guard's body, indicating he had entered an invincible state. During the previous battle, Lin Chia had already used his second skill to control the bald security guard, utilizing his ability to ignore terrain to hide quietly right beneath AI Mimi's stage. After the second photo judgment, he directly covered her eyes and entered the invincible state. Without vision, she couldn't use the wink skill or dodge. In just 3 short seconds, Lin Chia had slashed her nearly 20 times. After 3 seconds, AI Mimi finally reacted and activated her skill. Security team summon, again. The bald security guard covering her eyes instantly disappeared. The next moment, the fully restored bald guard, gunman and stealth killer reappeared, completely free from Lin Chia's control. Under AI Mimi's open eyes, Lin Chia was forced to withdraw his blade, becoming a blur as he swept past her. By now, AI Mimi's health bar was almost empty, with just a tiny sliver remaining at the bottom. Her face was extremely pale. Health 398/20000000. Photo. AI Mimi completely abandoned her sweet and energetic facade, speaking coldly. A 3-second photo countdown flashed again on the big screen behind her. Failed to control the bald security guard, Lin Chia ultimately met the same fate as Shen Qingzhu, killed by the nearly unsolvable group photo plus wink combo, dissipating into a flash of blood on the stage. After dying in the game, Lin Chia's consciousness suddenly began to fall, and when he opened his eyes again, he had returned to the hospital room. In the pale hospital room, a sphere of green code slowly rotated below the ceiling, with a line of code wrapped like a ribbon around the wrist of Yulilang Bai, who lay on the bed with his eyes closed as if asleep. Lin Chia turned his head in confusion and saw Shen Qingzhu standing by the window in the corridor, silently smoking a cigarette, while Guanzai sat on the bench with his head lowered, his hands rapidly typing in the void. "Why are we out?" Lin Chia asked in confusion. "Isn't it not over yet?" Guanzai slowly raised his head, his eyes bloodshot. "The game isn't over, but it no longer concerns you too." "Why?" Guanzai extended his hand, pointing to the hospital bed. "His life won't last until you respawn." Lin Chia suddenly remembered something and turned sharply toward the bed. Yulilang Bai's face was deathly pale, and at some point he had been hooked up to IVs and monitoring equipment. 2 doctors were standing around him, frowning and whispering something. "Less than 10 minutes left? We were only in there for less than an hour. Didn't you say he could hold on for a few more days?" Guanzai shook his head. "Your consciousness only experienced an hour in the game, but out here 2 days have passed." Lin Chia stood frozen in place. "Besides, maintaining the data for all 3 of you in the game puts a huge strain on me. Since you 2 wouldn't last until the next respawn anyway, I simply pulled you out." Lin Chia observed Guanzai, who looked much more haggard than before they entered the game. Simultaneously supporting the consciousness of 2 human geniuses and 1 deity in the game had taken a severe toll on him. Seeing Guanzai in this state, Lin Chia, who had planned to give him a good beating, suddenly felt too embarrassed to do so. "Now, does he still have a chance to become a god?" Lin Chia asked solemnly. "Hard to say." Guanzai sighed. "I designed this game just to push him, to make him actively try to create rules. Until the final moment, no one knows if he can find that trigger." Lin Chia remained silent for a moment, then nodded. "I understand. Regardless, I'll get old dog Wu here first. Even if we don't succeed, we can preserve his consciousness." Lin Chia picked up his phone and noticed several missed calls from Min Junliang over the past couple of days. Lin Chia frowned, feeling an ominous premonition, and immediately called back. "Hello. Hello, Commander. You're back." Min Junliang's voice was extremely anxious. "What happened?" After eliminating Shen Qingzhu and Lin Chia, AI Mimi's gaze returned to the edge of the venue. In the vast crowd, there was no sign of Yulilang Bai. AI Mimi snorted coldly, scanning the surroundings as her voice echoed throughout the venue through the microphone. Yuli, come out and face me. As her words fell, confusion appeared on the faces of the audience members. They looked around puzzled, not understanding why AI Mimi had suddenly said this. In the massive venue, not a single movement responded, as if he wasn't there at all. Seeing this, AI Mimi narrowed her eyes. Fine. If that's how you want it, don't blame me. The next moment, the group photo countdown flashed on the screen behind her. 3, 2, 1. Cheese. As the image on the screen froze, there was still no movement in the venue. How could this be? Why didn't Skill 2's judgment succeed? AI Mimi received a failure notification, her eyes filling with shock as she turned to look at the group photo on the screen. The failure of group photo meant that Yuli must be in the picture. Just then, a calm voice came through the speakers. Don't bother, you won't find me. Actually, breaking your chain of elimination isn't difficult. I just need to be in the group photo, without being seen by you. 7 Bro and Chingju Bro were judged and killed by you because they were fighting, making them easy to spot. Now I've changed clothes and hidden among these tens of thousands of spectators. As long as I don't actively try to kill you, you won't discover me. Even if you find my position from the photo, I can quickly change locations. This way, no matter how many times you use group photo or support, you can't do anything to me. At the edge of the southwest stands, a young man wearing a jacket and a baseball cap kept his head lowered, speaking slowly into a microphone hidden between his sleeves. In this enormous venue, his presence was extremely inconspicuous. AI Mimi's gaze swept across the venue, unable to identify Yuli figure. She frowned slightly and spoke again. Do you think you can just stall until those 2 respawn and you'll have a chance? If I'm not mistaken, in your current condition, you can't last more than 10 minutes, right? While speaking, AI Mimi gave a signal to 3 security guards, who immediately rushed into the crowd to search for Yuli position. Yuli looked up at his health bar, his eyes showing resignation. 350. As time passed, his health was dropping faster and faster. Now he was losing nearly 50 points per minute. At this rate, he could only last 7 more minutes. He probably wouldn't make it until Lin Chier and Shin Qingzhu respawned. I don't understand. The 3 of us are all players, so why are you specifically targeting me? Did Uncle Guan give you some strange setting when he created you? Yuli asked curiously. Players? AI Mimi chuckled. You don't really think this is just a game, and I'm just a boss in a game, do you? Hearing this, Yuli frowned slightly, not understanding what AI Mimi meant. If this isn't a game, then what is it? AI Mimi's gaze grew increasingly sharp as she slowly spoke. You've been to the basement, so you must have seen those things, right? The second Pure Land, artificial gods, experiments. Don't these seem familiar to you? Aren't these just designed game backgrounds? Yuli frowned and asked. The Pure Land was destroyed long ago. There couldn't possibly be a second Pure Land, nor a second artificial god. AI Mimi laughed coldly. You're wrong. This sports arena is indeed generated by the game, but everything you saw underground, including me, is all real. AI Mimi paused. This includes the second Pure Land, and the artificial god experiment. And the person who created them is called Oya Tsuneyoshi. You might not be familiar with this name, but you should know his other name. He is called Mirror Disaster.